A tense Senate hearing on Thursday took an unexpected turn when Pete Hegseth was interrupted mid-testimony over the war in Iran. In the middle of addressing senators, a protester suddenly shouted, calling him a war criminal. The protester said, quote, "You're a war criminal. You should be arrested. What you're doing is despicable. The American people do not want to go to war."
You're a war criminal. You should be arrested. What you're doing is despicable. The American people do not want to go to this war. We don't want to fight a war for any people. This is unacceptable.
Further interruptions of our hearing will be treated in like manner. We appreciate.
Now here's what stood out. Hegseth paused. He didn't immediately react, didn't talk over the protester. He actually stopped speaking. For a brief moment, he acknowledged the interruption, even if silently. The room shifted from a formal hearing to a direct confrontation. And then, just as quickly, he continued, resuming his testimony as if nothing had happened. This all unfolded as senators were already grilling him over his handling of the Iran war, raising concerns about strategy, cost, and consequences. The disruption wasn't random. As per the Mirror, the protesters were reportedly linked to CODEPINK, an anti-war organization known for such demonstrations. Videos show two protesters, dressed in pink, holding placards, being escorted out by security after interrupting the hearing. Committee Chairman Roger Wicker responded, saying, "Disruptions of this hearing will not be tolerated."
Further interruptions of our hearing will be treated in like manner. We appreciate the First Amendment rights of Americans to express themselves, but disruption of this hearing will not be tolerated. So,
outside the hearing, public sentiment is also divided. According to Pew Research Center, over 61% of Americans disapprove of how Donald Trump is handling the war in Iran, while about 37% approve. And this wasn't Hegseth's only tense exchange. A day earlier, during a nearly 6-hour House Armed Services Committee hearing, he clashed with lawmakers over the cost of the war. In one moment, Congressman Ro Khanna questioned the financial burden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, tomorrow is 2 months since the war has begun. You've testified that it was $25 billion in cost in terms of the munitions we used and what we paid for it. But when you add to that the damage that was done to our bases and today's dollars for buying replacement munitions and replacement aircrafts, what has the total cost been over the last 60 days?
That number right now reflects the total cost that we're seeing.
Including buying in today's dollars the new weapons and replacements, and including the damage there? That's your testimony?
If there's adjustments to that, I would defer to the comptroller on that.
And how much are you seeing in terms of, are you asking in terms of supplemental funding just for the Iran mission from this committee?
If and when a supplemental is submitted,
how much?
The majority of it would not just be for, would not be for
what would be
Fury,
the
it would be
ballpark for Iran?
Munitions related to the entirety
Just
of what
number,
we want to get done.
A number, what would you submit?
It would be within on Iran, it would be less than $25 billion, but there's a lot more we would ask for beyond just Iran.
You're saying it's $25 billion. Okay, I would just, if you come back, you want to revise those numbers, because all the experts are disagreeing with you when it comes to today's dollars and damage, but you can revise it. How much did it cost American taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed? Do you have that number in terms of the missiles we used?
As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation.
You don't know how much it costs the taxpayer?
But I wouldn't tie a cost to that, to anything.
It's a reasonable question, no, sir? I mean, our taxpayer money was going there. Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iran Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that
I
opportunity.
would simply ask you what you're
but
playing gotcha
sir,
questions
sir,
about
no, it's
domestic
not.
things. I'm not.
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased
Why
cost
won't
of
you
gas
answer what
and
it
food?
costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir. But let me.
What
if you
would
could
it
just
cost?
ask my-
What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't
but
get a nuclear
can you-
bomb?
Do you?
What would
sir,
you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost
Let
of
me-
Iran
let me
holding
give you the
that
number.
straight at
Let me
issue
give
with
you the
nuclear
number.
weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now, let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this better than
Yeah, but
what the previous
but
administration
to
did to our
acknowledge that-
economy,
to acknowledge
what the
there's a
previous
cost.
administration
You-
did
you
with
don't even
inflation,
know what the- you know
what
what's
the previous
upsetting. I reclaim
administration
my
did with
time. You know,
COVID,
Secretary-
and you're going to
Secretary,
lecture this
I reclaim
administration
my
about
time,
the
sir.
economy?
You know what is upsetting to me?
Incredible.
You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence. It's the incompetence. Let me ask you this. Certainly, maybe here we'll find agreement. There was still 440 pounds of low-enriched uranium, correct, when President Obama, after the JCPOA? Is that accurate?
The amounts and types are classified.
Okay. Will you acknowledge that there were 970 pounds of uranium enriched after Trump tore up the JCPOA?
The JCPOA was a terrible deal that allowed Iran a path to
I
a
know
nuclear bomb.
You deal with vague platitudes. I'm asking you about numbers. Like, you don't know what gas costs, you don't know what food costs, you don't know what the operation costs. You know, I get sound bites, but how about numbers? Do you know how much the enriched uranium was after you ripped up the JCPOA? Trump did.
I'll give you a number. I know that, as was stated by early on, the price of gas is twice as expensive in California, your home state, as anywhere else in the country because of the horrible policies your state pursued.
You know what? It used to be that type of stuff worked, and then you started to lose the people that you campaigned you wanted to be for, because you said you wouldn't get us into bad wars. You said you would bring down the prices. You know what I'm sad for? I'm sad for all the people who voted for Trump. I'm sad for them because you betrayed them. You betrayed a lot of that MAGA base. And you know who knows that? J.D. Vance knows that.
Gentleman's time's
that's why
expired.
he's upset
Chair now
about
recognizes
this.